Hello, and welcome to your Pick a Moment, Pick a Card reading. In this reading, I would like to ask you to pick a moment in your life that you would like to understand the meaning of. You can also pick 3 moments of your life and receive 3 readings here. Obviously, this is not, a full reading. It's not a personalized reading. If you'd like one of those, I encourage you to visit my website and book a reading. But it can give you something to think about. I hope it will. Alright, so we have 3 moments, 3 objects here. The sea urchin, I think that's what it is. I'm not sure, however, but let's just call it a sea urchin for now. A sea snail, or I don't know what this is, honestly. Some sea thingy. And this one I know what it is. It's a seahorse. Alright. I apologize for the silly beginning. I wasn't really prepared to name these things. So anyway, let's see. I'm gonna give you a few moments to think about what these items or what some moments in your life that you would like to gain some clarity on, how they connect, to make those associations. And as always, this is completely up to you. So there's actually absolutely no limitations as to how you can make those connections. It is completely your choice. Okay, so let's dive into the exploration of meaning and significance regarding these events. If you still haven't made your mind up, that's okay. You can take a moment to pause this video and to think about it. And then we're going to jump into it. Okay. So the first moment, let's see what its significance is. Okay, and we have a big one here. Death. Okay. So death, the 13th of the major arcana, is one of those cards that is universally feared, and people feel kind of uncomfortable when I pull this card for them. But the truth is that the death card is actually a card of hope in some sense, because it reveals to you that everything in life has an end. And when you cycle through life, because it's a cycle, it's not a linear travel from point A to point B, there's one thing that you can always rely on, and that's the fact that eventually everything is going to end. So even if this was a painful moment of loss and grieving and difficulty letting something or someone go, this card is a testament to the power of realizing that everything is really going to pass. This is, sometimes this is hard to see as a novel insight because, it's repeated so often, and it's at this point it sounds like an empty phrase. But really, when you think about it, it's ultimately the most liberating thing that you can think of, is that whatever you're struggling with, whatever life throws at you, whatever challenge, eventually it's going to be over. And when in the present, when you're struggling with it, when you can see the mortality of that problem, of that issue, it's helping you letting it go in the moment, and it makes it easier for you. So having that perspective is the significance of this moment, teaching you about the mortality of not only humans but all things in life, and how new things can grow from the end of a thing. Okay, so that's the first moment. The second moment, let's see. And it's the High Priestess. Okay. So this moment is teaching you about the power of your subconscious, about how much you actually know without consciously knowing. So think back to this situation, to the circumstances of this moment in your life, and how much importance your subconscious, your intuitive understanding of it played, or could have played. Looking back, this is a general or universal experience for us, is that looking back we can see how there were red flags or sometimes white flags in the situation that we could have noticed. And we were noticing those things on some level, otherwise we could not remember them retroactively. But in the moment, there might be denial, there might be rationalizing, there might be some other type of brain activity going on that's not what the High Priestess is promoting here. The High Priestess is asking you to trust your gut a little more, to respect it some more, to make sure that in consequent moments, when you're looking back at situations, that you run that analysis and you see where you could have relied on your intuition more. So what this moment is teaching you is to not be afraid of the truth and believe yourself. Be your own High Priestess. The High Priestess has the keys to deep understanding in her hands. She knows, and respecting the fact that you on some level are also aware of these deep intuitive layers of each situation, but you're choosing not to believe yourself in the moment, sometimes because it's more convenient, sometimes because it's fear-inducing to think that you know so much, that you can have that much knowledge. But this card is asking you to accept that it is true. And I encourage you to really try to look back and analyze this moment and try to see those red/white flags. And the fact that, like I said, I would like to repeat this because I think it's important. The fact that you can look back at those moments and see them as indicators of future events, that is actually the proof that you are aware of more things that you give yourself credit for, or what you are willing to believe. And now let's look at the third moment, the seahorse thingy. And we have Justice here. Number 8 of the major arcana. Okay, so what is this situation, this moment teaching you? What did it try to get across to you as a lesson? Now, the Justice card is the card of balance. And when you hear the word balance, I think if you are like me, the first reaction is a sense of serenity and calm, because balance has these positive connotations to it. But with Justice, we're looking at divine balance that is not always pleasant. It's not always comfortable and convenient or very reassuring at all. It's the unforgiving nature of the universe that is reflected in the Justice card. How there's a divine law of, I guess you could call it karma, where there's necessities. There's these causal relationships between events that are simply unavoidable. And there's a deterministic nature to the Justice card that makes it even more difficult to handle. So this card is asking you to try to see the inevitability in this situation, how it could not have been avoided, how the actions that were performed necessarily led to the end result that is now considered to be a moment in your life. But it's not only a moment, it's also a point of learning. So this is where you can run some very conscious analysis of why what happened. There's a reason for what happened, and finding that reason, not reason, but how should I say this? Maybe ingredients is a better word. Even if it's, let's say, if it's a senseless crime that we're looking at, and with Justice, there's often a criminal element to what we're looking at, or some sort of punishment or reward or that kind of stuff. It's that sort of dynamic. So even if we're looking at a completely senseless, dramatic criminal act, there are certain ingredients that cause a perfect storm. There are certain vectors in each situation that point to a specific outcome. And when all those conditions, all those circumstances come together in a positive synergy or in a negative perfect storm of catastrophe, that's when an inevitable result is born. And that's where a deterministic route is assigned to you. So really, this card is about noticing those milestones or those turning points where ahead of time. So before you get to that point where there's this point of no return, where it's all a mechanism and it's almost automatic from then on, completely deterministic, finding a way to make preemptive measures to balance your situation before it gets too far is potentially the lesson that can be learned from Justice. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading or these readings. Thank you for supporting me and my channel. Give this video a like if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this type of content. And I encourage you to leave a comment. I always love reading the comments, and most of the time I reply to them. So thank you for watching. See you next time.